This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Wednesday, January 29th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the United States and other countries evacuating their citizens from the city at the epicenter of the outbreak of the coronavirus, as the U.S. is trying to get more cooperation from China in fighting the disease. The Senate impeachment trial of President Donald Trump moving into its next phase, where senators get to ask questions of attorneys from both sides. And the big question, will the Senate call witnesses to testify? The president's Middle East peace plan is out. We're going to get reaction from Israelis, Palestinians, and Muslim countries in the region and find out what's next. And you know his face and you've heard his voice. Our conversation with actor Dennis Haysbert about his long career and his new work on a docuseries on the history of Christianity. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We begin this half hour with the coronavirus outbreak as countries, including the United States, begin evacuating their citizens today from Wuhan. That is the Chinese city at the epicenter of the virus. The death toll was up to 132 by early today, with nearly 6,000 cases in China. The U.S. wants more cooperation from China to fight the mysterious disease, while China maintains it's only a major threat domestically. But other countries are also growing more concerned about a possible international outbreak. Here's CBN's national security correspondent, Eric Phillips.
The explosion of confirmed cases abroad has prompted American officials to increase screening of passengers traveling from China.
CDC has reassessed its entry strategy and decided to expand to screening travelers from the 5 airports originally to 20 airports in the United States.
Tuesday, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said the U.S. has offered to send a team to China to collect data and help control the spread, but the offer has fallen flat.
We are urging China. More cooperation and transparency are the most important steps you can take toward a more effective response.
But in Beijing Tuesday, during a meeting with the director of the World Health Organization, President Xi Jinping said China is ready to work with the international community.
This is a major issue, major public health issue, and we basically just need the best public health people we have in the world working on this right now.
The CDC has recommended Americans avoid travel to China, the State Department issuing a stronger level 4 warning to stay away.
Right now, there is no spread of this virus in our communities here at home. This is why our current assessment is that the immediate health risk of this new virus to the general public is low in our nation.
Health officials hope it stays that way and are prepared if it doesn't.
We have already started at the NIH and with many of our collaborators on the developing of a vaccine.
Preparedness is a day job around here.
Even though CDC Director Robert Redfield says there's a lot we don't know about the coronavirus still, including exactly how it spread, this is not a public health emergency here in the United States as of now. But Secretary Azar says he would not hesitate to make that designation if it becomes necessary. In the meantime, medical officials warn to always wash your hands, cover your mouth when you cough, and stay home if you're sick. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Eric, thank you. Turning now to Washington, the Senate impeachment trial is moving into its next phase starting today, where the senators submit written questions to the president's defense team and the prosecution for 2 days. When that ends, the Senate will move on to the contentious vote on whether to call witnesses. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell reportedly told Republicans he does not yet have the votes to block the witnesses, while Senator Lindsey Graham cautions Democrats if witnesses are called, the floodgates will open.
If people want witnesses, we're going to get a lot of witnesses. There'll be 51 Republican votes to call Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the whistleblower, and the DNC staffer at a very minimum.
The president's legal team wrapped up its case Tuesday, and the vote on whether or not to extend the trial by calling witnesses is expected as soon as Friday. CBN News is providing special coverage of the impeachment trial. We're carrying the Senate impeachment trial of the president live every day on the CBN News Channel. A Franklin Graham appearance in Britain this summer has been canceled because he believes in traditional marriage and that homosexuality is a sin. Faithwire reports officials at the location in Liverpool said Graham's event was being dropped because his views, especially on marriage being the union of one man and one woman, are, quote, incompatible with our views. The Liverpool Labour LGBT network called Graham, quote, a homophobic hate preacher. Graham wrote an open letter to the LGBT community in the UK saying he wasn't coming to condemn them, but to present the gospel, and that while God defines homosexuality as a sin, we're all sinners, and he wasn't coming out of hate, but out of love. Coming up, we're going to get reaction to the president's long-awaited Middle East peace plan, which he unveiled yesterday at the White House. We're going to go to Jerusalem and hear what both the Israelis and Palestinians think of the president's proposal.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug-of-war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline, Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
President Trump finally unveiled his long-awaited Middle East peace plan at the White House Tuesday. As Chris Mitchell reports now from Jerusalem, the plan provoked a variety of reactions, from enthusiastic optimism among Israelis to outright rejection by the Palestinians.
With Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at his side, President Trump presented a plan that he believes will succeed where so many others have failed.
My vision presents a win-win opportunity for both sides, a realistic two-state solution that resolves the risk of Palestinian statehood to Israel's security. Today, Israel has taken a giant step toward peace.
Netanyahu praised President Trump's plan as history in the making.
And on this day, you too have charted a brilliant future for Israelis, Palestinians, and the region by presenting a realistic path to a durable peace.
The plan calls for Jerusalem to remain Israel's undivided capital. It calls for Israeli sovereignty over the Jordan Valley and Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. It calls for a Palestinian state, but only if Palestinians recognize Israel as a Jewish state, renounce terrorism, and stop paying convicted terrorists. For the first time, Trump's peace plan includes a map showing what a future Palestinian state would look like. Here on the ground, Palestinians rioted in Ramallah while Israeli troops remain on high alert. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas immediately rejected it, calling it the slap of the century.
After the nonsense that we have heard today, we say 1,000 times, no, no, no
to the deal of the century.
But some Sunni Arab nations surrounding Israel, like Egypt and Saudi Arabia, have issued positive statements about the plan. Middle East expert Joel Rosenberg, who has met many of these leaders, believes they may chart their own course.
I've had conversations, as you know, with a lot of these folks. I sense this is a question they're really asking. Should we start moving towards full peace with Israel, even before the Palestinian issue is resolved, the way Egypt did in 1979, the way Jordan did in 1994?
And Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, how significant is the support of the Sunni Arab nations?
Well, Ephraim, I think it's very significant. I think you could call it historic. One symbol of that or sign of that new relationship between Israel and Arab Sunni nations, and including in the peace plan, is that there were 3 Arab ambassadors in the room yesterday at the White House from Oman, the United Arab Emirates, and also from let's see, I'm trying to think, Lord. But there's three of the ambassadors, so that's very significant. And I think what's happening, Ephraim, is that they're moving on from the Palestinians. The Sunni Arab nations are saying that no longer is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict sort of the epicenter of the diplomacy. And the question remains right now, Ephraim, will one of these leaders make peace and visit Jerusalem? That's what we were talking about with Joel Rosenberg earlier after that interview. And that's really a possibility that it could happen. It happened to Egypt. It could happen to Jordan. We'll see what happens to maybe Saudi Arabia or one of these Sunni Arab nations.
We saw Netanyahu at the White House with the president. What are the political and legal challenges he's facing back in Israel?
Well, politically right now, Ephraim, he's already found opposition from, let's say, the leaders in Judea and Samaria. They don't want a Palestinian state. They do appreciate the fact that many of these Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria are going to be annexed, likely by the Israeli government. But they oppose a Palestinian state. They see that as a danger. Even his own defense Minister of Defense has opposed it. So he faces danger on the right politically. Legally, he was indicted yesterday. You would say this would maybe one of the high moments of his diplomacy, to be in the White House announcing this peace plan with the President of the United States, and yet he was indicted by Israel's Attorney General yesterday. How this affects the election, which comes up in about 5 weeks, remains to be determined. But he's facing these legal and political challenges that are pretty daunting, with elections about 5 weeks away.
Back to the president's plan, what objections might evangelical leaders have to it?
Well, first of all, I think they would disagree. They would have objections to a Palestinian state. I think a lot of people, including those leaders I mentioned in Judea and Samaria, would have objections to that. Right now, the Palestinian leadership, it gives incitements to its population. It would really like to see the end of the Jewish state. So that's one thing. And the other thing is a theological disagreement. Joel chapter 3 talks about that the Lord himself will enter into judgment in the valley of Jehoshaphat, really not just behind me, because they have divided his land. So they see this as a one way that really violates the scriptures, and I think that's one thing that they would really object to. Having said that, there are many good parts to this plan for many evangelicals. First of all, it guarantees that Jerusalem will continue to be Israel's capital. It guarantees sovereignty, or at least allows sovereignty over the Jordan Valley, which is that strategic eastern border of Israel, as well as many of those Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. And I would also say, Ephraim, that really many of these evangelicals have worked on this plan. They trust President Trump and his team, Ambassador David Friedman and others on that diplomatic team, and they trust Benjamin Netanyahu. And also, finally, I would say that, you know, talking about a Palestinian state, as we said in that report, there's 3 things that they have to do, the Palestinians, to actually get a state. They have to renounce terrorism. They have to stop paying terrorists that are convicted of crimes against Israelis. And also they have to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. So all these things make it unlikely that you would ever see a Palestinian state with the current Palestinian leadership.
All right, Chris Mitchell reporting from Jerusalem for us. Thank you, Chris. Still Still ahead, he has a famous face and the most recognizable voice. Our conversation with actor Dennis Haysbert on his career and his new work on a new docu-series on the history of Christianity.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
In ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
He's the face and voice of Allstate Insurance, but he's also played a baseball player, a Secret Service agent, a U.S. Senator, and the President of the United States. It's actor Dennis Haysbert, and he's sitting down with us backstage at the Museum of the Bible to talk about his career and his new work with the TBN docu-series on Christianity. It's called Inexplicable.
Here's the pitch to Serrano. He swings and drives from the deep left.
Ever since his 1989 appearance as baseball player Pedro Serrano in the movie Major League, Dennis Haysbert has been hitting home runs in the acting world. What's the reaction from fans when they see you?
It's always positive, which is fun and great. I've never been approached negatively, which is, thank you.
But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise.
He's also the longtime familiar face and voice of these popular insurance commercials.
I decided pretty early what I wanted to do. Sports is probably, I guess, second to what I'm doing now. Though I could have gone places to play football or fenced or, played any number of sports. But I think I wanted to be an actor when I was 10 years old.
At 10?
At 10.
What happened at 10?
At 10, I just saw, I just saw movies that I just enjoyed. I saw movies that I liked that turned out to be classics, The Young Lions, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Well, it's my fault. See, we have a sort of a situation here. Joanna and I didn't just meet in Hawaii. We spent a good deal of time together. I mean, all the time after we met. And, well, we have this problem. I fell in love with your daughter. And as incredible as it may seem, she fell in love with me. And we flew back to San Francisco to see if you or Mrs. Straighton would have any objections if we got married.
That's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, starring the legendary Sidney Poitier, the first black man to earn an Academy Award.
I just saw a lot of movies that I said, you know what? I said, I think I'd like to do that. And I don't know why. There's nobody else in my family doing it. It's just, it was a calling.
And speaking of calling, we're here at the Museum of the Bible with Haysbert to learn about his latest role.
And rename the city Constantinople.
Hosting this TBN docuseries.
Inexplicable. What brought you to this project to spread the word and the history of Christianity?
Well, the main reason is that I didn't know it was on all continents. I didn't know Christianity was on every continent in the world. So I wanted to see and talk about why that is and how that became.
Why is this an important story to tell?
It's good to know. You know, I was raised Christian. I'm baptized a Baptist, and I want to know the origins of Christianity and where it spread and how it spread. It wasn't always a pretty picture. I've been going to Sunday school and church from the time I could walk to the end of high school. But this brought me back in a way that I wouldn't have expected. And as I was narrating the show, I was also learning, you know, and sometimes I had to stop and tell you, say, really? You know? And sometimes it came across in my narration, the emotion of it.
I'm sure among the reasons you were asked is because of your inexplicable voice, if you will. You've got a voice that is extremely recognizable and powerful. When did you come into that voice?
Well, my daddy gave it to me.
Really?
So, I mean, I didn't know I had a voice until I started using it. So, and I started getting recognized for it. So I've been at this for a long time. And there was a time where, you know, it wasn't so recognizable, you know, but that was a long time ago. All right.
The officer told me they're having to deal with...
I thought we ordered the National Guard.
Certainly long before his role as the much-loved President David Palmer in the long-running hit series 24.
I can't let you go without talking about 24 and the assassination, because when people hear I'm going to talk to you, that was one of the things they were curious about and upset about, even to this day. What did you think when you first read that in the script, and what happened afterwards?
Well, I had already left the show by then, and they called me back to ask if I would do that, and I told them no for a good 6 months. I said, why would you do that? And I said, well, you see, you know, you run the risk of losing a lot of viewers if you do this. I mean, this is not just somebody's wife that got killed or some other character. This is a president of the United States. I said, yeah, sure you want to do that? I said, okay, well, that's what I want for it. If you can match that, I said, okay, I'll do it. But you know, you're not going to like it.
When did you feel like, I got it, this is definitely my career, I've made it, or ever?
I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. You know, I've made it this far. There's still a lot I need to do and want to do.
For all a work in progress. Now you can find Dennis Haysbert and Inexplicable right now on TBN. And this week on Studio 5, we're sampling new music from Torrin Wells, hearing from Justice Clarence Thomas in a documentary, and counting down to the Oscars with a look at the film 1917. We're also paying tribute to the life and legacy of Kobe Bryant. You can see all of that on Studio 5 this evening at 9:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins has issued a challenge, but it doesn't have to do with sports. It's about reading the Bible. We've got that story for you when we come back.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins is challenging followers to read the entire Bible. Cousins recently announced his own achievement, tweeting he has finished reading both the Old and New Testaments. He wrote, "It took me over 2 years, but just finished reading through the entire Bible for the first time. Definitely recommend it." Cousins says his faith is the foundation of his life and it gives him peace and strength before each game. His Bible Challenge Twitter post was shared with more than 90,000 times. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today I actually leave you with 2 words: full life. Know this: it is not a good mission to simply live a long life. It is a better mission to live a full life. With that word, I encourage you to make today a wonderful Wednesday, and be sure to push to make the rest of the week wonderful as well. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our CBN News programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Feel free to email us. That address is there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. You can, of course, reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. We hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a great day, everybody.